Good morning. A decent night's sleep, although it rained absolutely torrentially and the wind was howling around and the van was moving, so I woke up a couple of times. But warm enough and pretty well rested, I think.
It is a little while later and I am showered and breakfasted and raring to go. So far the weather is playing ball in as much as it's not actually raining. Still very windy, supposed to be raining later, but for the moment all is good. So we are off to Llangattock Edge. Before we get there, a buttock-clenchingly tight gap to squeeze through on the B4560, which runs off the A40 and over the River Usk. The bridge over the river is just 2.4 metres wide and dates from around 1700. With solid stone walls on either side, it's not one you want to scrape in your van, hence the width restrictions beforehand to stop you banging the ancient structure, which is Grade 1 listed. Believe me, even though I know the van will fit, driving over here feels very tight. Traffic management is by the school of look and see if something's coming, and if so, wait. After that, the rest of the narrow Welsh lanes feel practically cavernous by comparison. A chance for some Welsh vocabulary lessons at every turn, the word for slow now etched in my brain. We're going over the canal here, the Monnon Brec. Very scenic, but entirely isolated from the rest of the canal network. You can just see it on the right, behind the works vehicles. Back alongside the Usk here, down below on the left, as we approach Crickhowell and Llangattock. With Llangattock behind us, we head up the very steep, windy, and of course narrow hill. The camera does this gradient no justice. This was first gear, wheels slipping, leaning forwards in your seat so as not to feel like you were falling backwards. And just when you thought it couldn't get any steeper, it did, and with the sun to blind you on the corner for good measure. Note on this corner the amusing sign, "Drive carefully," as if you do anything else. Amazingly, people do have houses up here. Just as we park up, for your amusement, here's the windy part of that journey again at super fast speed. Well, that was an invigorating drive at very steep angles and very twisty. It was kind of fun, but terrifying at the same time. Just parked up now. It's rather windy up here. But just before we even get out, I just want to show you the view out of the back window. I'm vaguely regretting parking backwards in now, because the temptation, especially with the wind, to just sit and look at the view through the window is quite substantial. I've been brave and got out the van, if you can even hear me over the wind. Look at that. Stunning. I thought we were at the top, but apparently we go higher. Looks like it might rain. And this is what we've come to see. Llangattock Escarpment, the remains of a limestone quarry which came into being over 200 years ago, but has been abandoned for the last century. Lumps of fallen stone and piles of spoil from the quarrying lie everywhere up here. There are even the remains of basic quarry buildings, now very dilapidated. The view, as you'd expect, is stunning. Down below, the villages of Llangattock in the shade and Crickhowell in the sunshine. The van's a fair way off now too. It seems we've walked for miles. Anyone remember the game Lemmings? Let's hope a better future awaits these cave explorers going potholing. They're liable to get soggy underground. There's a lot of water about. One amazing feature up here is the remnants of the old tram lines. You can see where they went by the smooth path in the hillside. The trams took the limestone down the steep hill, zigzagging back and forth to the lime kilns next to the canal, where the stone would be burned at 1,000 degrees and turned into quicklime, hydrated and slaked lime, used for building, farming and other industrial purposes. These stones mark where sleepers for the tram tracks went, held by an iron peg driven into an oak dowel in the centre holes. Whether these pyramids were built by aliens is a mystery.
Halfway along this rugged rocky trail you find this sign indicating that there is in fact a public footpath both along here and down this way, but oh my word, it's quite the footpath. Fancy going down there? Bit steep, bit soggy, liable to break a leg.
Isn't that splendid?
Well, after that hearty walk, it's time now to have some pasties, cup of tea, and the whooshing noise you can possibly hear is the heater keeping the van warm. After a rather splendid and filling lunch of warm pasties, scones and a cup of tea, it's now time to carry on to the lime kilns where the limestone used to be brought down and turned into lime or something. I'm no historian.
We took a different route down, less steep but no less narrow or twisty. And then, for reasons I'll explain in a moment, we went up again, and it was, once more, ludicrously, hilariously steep. With a sheer drop to the side, barely any width to the road, and the sun in your eyes, this was most energising. Don't, whatever you do, look at the scenery while driving here. You will end up going off the side.
Slight change of plan. We didn't go to the lime kilns. We went up Sugarloaf Hill, Sugarloaf Mountain, and are now looking back, I think roughly in the direction we've just come from.
turning around 180 degrees in that direction. Over there's the beginning of the Black Mountains and the Gospel Pass, which I showed in my last Brecon video. It was a little bit of a trek getting up here, but I'm embarrassed to tell you that we're not even at the summit of the Sugarloaf, because that is it. And I'm not going to go and climb it now. Pretty though. In the distance, Abergavenny. And then back the way we came. We are down off the mountain. The wind has ceased. Now we're down to ground level, but the heavens have opened and it is raining. Nonetheless, we found our way to the lime kiln, and so I'm going to dash out in this torrential downpour and get you a quick shot. And this is the old lime kiln. The kilns are right next to the canal, so they would have burned the limestone and then loaded it onto barges to take it away. For a bit of context, there's the lime kilns, and there in the distance is Llangattock Edge, which is where we were earlier, where all the limestone was quarried and brought down to the kilns on the trams. That's one of the kilns, and there are several of them. Just a brilliantly connected system. Wasn't the Industrial Revolution marvellous?